The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber shook as heavy footsteps echoed through its halls. Commander Vextel's 6-foot frame cast a dark shadow across the glowing star map that dominated the center of the room. His forearms moved with practiced military precision as he manipulated the holographic display. But his usual confidence had cracked like old armor. Red dots blinked and disappeared from the three-dimensional map with each gesture. 17. Red dots. 17 entire fleets that had simply vanished into the void of space. "Look at this," Vextel said, his voice carrying the weight of disbelief. His species had conquered 40 star systems through pure military might. But now, even his strongest warriors spoke in whispers about the disappearances. The Hegemony's third fleet gone. The Corvin battle group, nothing left. Even the Stellar. Dominion's Pride fleet just ... stopped existing. Counselor Nemera floated nearby, her translucent blue form shimmering like water in moonlight. Her people had evolved beyond physical bodies centuries ago, existing as pure energy contained in crystalline shells. When she was upset, her entire form flickered like a broken light bulb. "The pattern makes no sense," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. Every single fleet that approached the Sol system just disappeared. No explosion signatures, no debris clouds, no final transmissions. They simply stopped being there. High Arbitrator Colvin spoke next, though calling it speaking was not quite right. When the leader of the collective hive mind communicated, it was the voice of 10 million individual creatures speaking as one.
Ow.
The sound filled the chamber like distant thunder. "Analysis confirms the impossible," the collective voice announced. "Our most advanced scanning technology, our most powerful warships, our most experienced commanders, all consumed by whatever lurks in that primitive system. The humans there still use chemical rockets. Their longest space journey barely reaches their own moon." Vextel's mandibles clicked together in the way his species showed frustration. He had personally overseen the conquest of 3 civilizations, each more advanced than these humans. The idea that something in their backwater system could threaten the galaxy's greatest powers seemed like a bad joke. "What could primitive humans possibly have that could destroy our fleets?" he demanded. "Their weapons cannot even penetrate basic energy shields. Their ships move slower than our cargo vessels." The 3 leaders stood in silence, staring at the star map. The Sol system glowed like a tiny yellow dot at the edge of known space. It looked so small, so insignificant. For 3,000 years, their civilizations had expanded across the galaxy by following a simple rule. The strongest survived, the weakest were conquered. Advanced technology and superior firepower had made them masters of hundreds of worlds. But now something was hunting them. Counselor Namara drifted closer to the display, her energy form casting strange shadows on the crystal walls. "Our reconnaissance. Probes detect massive energy signatures throughout the Sol system," she reported. "But the signatures are ... wrong. They appear and disappear like ghosts. Our sensors cannot lock onto them." "Cloaking technology?" Vextel suggested. "No," Colvin's million voices replied in unison. "Cloaking hides objects from detection. These signatures register clearly on our instruments, but when we try to target them, they phase out of existence. Then they reappear somewhere else entirely." The chamber's ambient lighting dimmed as the council members processed this information. Each of their species had developed different technologies over millennia of evolution. The Drakmor Empire relied on brute force and heavy weapons. The Zephyrian Collective had mastered energy manipulation and dimensional theory. The collective hive mind had perfected coordination and collective intelligence. None of them had ever encountered in anything like what lurked in human space. "We cannot allow this threat to continue," Vextel declared, his 4 fists clenching simultaneously. "Every day we delay, more fleets disappear. Soon, other species will begin to question our strength. The entire galactic order depends on our ability to project power." High Arbitrator Colvin's collective consciousness reached a decision. The Grand Armada will be assembled, 5,000 ships from all 3 empires. We will combine our technologies, our tactics, our overwhelming firepower. Whatever ancient weapon the humans have discovered, it cannot stand against our united strength. Counselor Nymera's form brightened with agreement. Our most advanced vessels, our most experienced crews, our most devastating weapons. We will approach the Sol system with such force that even gods would surrender. As the three leaders began, coordinating the largest military force in galactic history, none of them noticed the tiny anomaly in their computer systems. A faint energy signature that had been silently observing their meeting. It recorded their words, analyzed their plans, transmitted everything across. Impossible distances to receivers waiting in the darkness between stars. The ghost in their machines had been watching, learning and preparing humanity's response. Soon the galaxy would discover that humans had found something far more powerful than advanced weapons or faster ships. They had learned to transcend death itself. The hunt was about to begin. Admiral Jacksomer's crystalline fingers danced across the control panel as he stared at the massive display screen. The Grand Armada stretched out before him like a river of stars, 5,000 warships moving through space in perfect lines. Each vessel represented the finest technology his civilization could build. Their weapons could turn entire moons to dust. Their shields could stop the explosion of small suns. Yet something cold crawled up his spine as they approached the edge of the Sol system. Admiral called out his sensor operator, a young Zephyrian, whose crystal body flickered with nervous energy. The readings are getting stronger. I count hundreds of energy signatures scattered throughout this system, but they keep appearing and disappearing like they are not really there. Jacksomer moved closer to examine the data himself. His people had mastered energy detection long before most species had learned to build fire. Their sensors could track a single electron across light years of space. But these readings made no sense at all. Ships, he muttered, watching the patterns on his screen. Definitely ships, but they phase in and out of existence every few seconds. How is that possible? Before anyone could answer, every alarm on the bridge began screaming at once. A new contact had appeared directly in front of their massive formation, so close that collision seemed certain. But the Grand Armada's thousands of ships passed right through the space where the object floated, as if nothing was there. Visual contact, the sensor operator announced, his voice cracking with confusion. The main screen shifted to show a small spacecraft hanging motionless in the void. Jacksomer had seen many vessels during his long military career, but this one looked like something from a museum. Its hull was made of simple metal plates welded together. Its engines glowed with the dim light of basic fusion technology. The entire ship was smaller than the shuttle he used to travel between his own fleet's vessels. "Is this some kind of joke?" asked his weapons officer, a battle-scarred veteran who had fought in 12 different wars. "That thing looks like it. Was built with primitive tools." The communication system suddenly activated with a burst of static. When the signal cleared, a human voice spoke in simple electromagnetic waves. The kind of basic radio transmission that most civilizations had, abandoned centuries ago. "This is Captain Sujin Park, of the U.S. Phantom," the voice said calmly. "You are trespassing in human space. Turn back now, or face the consequences." The bridge fell silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then laughter began rippling through the command crew like water flowing downhill. Someone in the back of the bridge actually fell out of his chair from laughing so hard. The weapons officer wiped tears from his crystalline eyes. "Did that tiny human just threaten us?" the tactical officer asked between fits of laughter. One primitive ship against 5,000 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy? Admiral Jacksomer found himself smiling despite the strange circumstances. The audacity was almost impressive. It was like watching an ant challenge an earthquake. "Response," his communications officer asked. "Destroy that insect," Jacksomer commanded, waving one hand dismissively. "Use minimal power. I want to preserve the wreckage for study." The lead destroyer, a massive ship bristling with plasma cannons, rotated to bring its main weapons to bear. Energy began building in the cannon arrays, creating a glow that could be seen across several star systems. When the weapons fired, brilliant beams of concentrated plasma screamed through space at nearly the speed of light. The beams struck the human's vessel directly and passed completely through it. The plasma continued, traveling into empty space as if the ship was not there at all. But the vessel remained clearly visible on their screens, floating exactly where it had been before. What just happened? Jaximer demanded. Direct hit, Admiral, the weapons officer reported, checking his instruments frantically. But no damage. Registered. The energy passed through the target like it was made of empty air. Captain Park's voice returned over the communication system, and this time there was something different in his tone. Something that made the temperature on the bridge seem to drop several degrees. You were warned, the human said, and now his voice carried an edge that cut through the laughter like a blade through silk. Now you will learn why 17 fleets have gone silent in our space. The small human ship began to change. At first, Jaximer thought his eyes were playing tricks. On him, the single vessel seemed to blur around the edges, like looking at something through water. Then the blurring intensified, and suddenly there were two identical ships floating in the same space. Sensor error? He asked hopefully. Duh. No, sir. His operator replied, his voice barely above a whisper. I am detecting two separate vessels now. The two ships became 4, then 8, then 16. Each new vessel appeared with the same impossible energy signature as the original. They were clearly there on every instrument, but somehow existed in a way that physical weapons could not touch. Within minutes, 1,000 identical ships surrounded the Grand Armada. Each one looked exactly like the primitive vessel they had tried to destroy. Each one carried the same impossible ability to exist without being touchable. Admiral Jaximer stared at his displays in growing horror as he realized the truth. They had not come to fight humans. They had come to face ghosts. The perfect battle formation of the Grand Armada broke apart like glass hitting stone. Admiral Jaximer gripped his command chair as thousands of ghost ships appeared from nowhere, surrounding his fleet in every direction. The phantom vessels moved like living shadows, weaving between his warships with impossible grace. Then Captain Sujin Park's voice filled every communication channel at once. But now she was not speaking in simple human language. Her words flowed in perfect Zephyrian crystal speech, then shifted to the harsh battle tongue of the Drakmor, then to the collective harmony of the collective hive mind. You think we are still the same humans you dismissed as primitive? Park said, her voice carrying a strange weight that made the air itself feel heavy. You made a mistake. While your civilizations rushed across the galaxy to conquer new worlds, humanity discovered something far more valuable. We learned how to defeat death itself. Jaximer watched his tactical display with growing terror. The ghost ships were moving through his fleet like they were swimming through water. They passed directly through the hulls of his mightiest dreadnoughts, slipping past energy shields that could stop planet-killing weapons, flowing around defensive barriers like they were made of empty air. But when the phantom vessels chose to touch his ships, the results were devastating. Weapons systems suddenly went dark. Power cores drained to nothing in seconds. Life support systems activated emergency protocols and began evacuating entire sections of ships without any explanation. What are you, Jaximer? Broadcast on every frequency his communication array could reach.
What have you become?
Park's voice came back immediately, and now it seemed to come from inside his own head rather than through the speakers. We're volunteers, Admiral.
Every human you see here
Chose this existence. We were explorers who died trying to reach distant stars. Scientists who were lost in accidents while studying black holes. Soldiers who gave their lives defending Earth from asteroid impacts and solar storms. The tactical display showed Jaximer, something that made his crystalline body go cold. His most powerful warships, vessels that had conquered entire star systems, were being systematically shut down one by one. But the ghost ships were not destroying them. Instead, they were somehow draining the life from each vessel while carefully preserving the crews inside. When our bodies died, we made a choice, Park continued, her voice now speaking from a dozen different directions at once. We could accept death and fade away, or we could continue serving humanity in a new form. We chose to serve. Watched escape pods launching from his flagship sister ship. The massive dreadnought had gone completely dark, but its crew was being safely evacuated to smaller vessels. Somehow, the ghost ships were capturing his fleet without killing a single person. Our minds were uploaded into quantum storage systems. Park explained, her voice growing stronger with each word. Our consciousness was preserved, digitized, and given new purpose. We no longer need oxygen to breathe or food to survive. We do not grow tired or old. We do not fear injury because our bodies are already gone. One of the phantom ships passed directly through Juxamer's own bridge. For a moment, he could see through its transparent hull to the figure inside. Captain Park sat at the controls. But she was not quite solid. Her form flickered between existing and not existing, like a person made of light and shadow. "We exist in the space between dimensions," she said. Looking directly at him, even though her ship had already passed through his bridge and continued moving, "Your weapons cannot touch us because we choose when to be real. Your sensors can detect us because we choose to be seen. We control how we interact with your reality." The truth hit Jaxamer like a physical blow. These were not ships at all. They were the minds of dead humans, somehow given form and purpose beyond anything his civilization had ever imagined. Each phantom vessel was crewed by people who had already died and chosen to continue existing in digital form. "You cannot fight us," Park's voice said, now coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. "We have no bodies to destroy. We have no life support systems to disable. We have no fear of death because we have already experienced it and moved beyond it." On the tactical display, Jaxamer could see his entire fleet being methodically disabled. 5,000 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy reduced to powerless hulks floating in space. But their crews were safe, evacuated to smaller vessels that the ghost ships somehow allowed to function normally. "We are not your enemies," Park said, her voice becoming gentler. "We do not wish to destroy you or conquer your worlds. We have only one purpose now, to protect the living and explore the mysteries of the universe." Jaxamer realized with growing horror that the hunt had already begun, but his fleet was not the hunter. They were the prey. And their predators were the uploaded consciousness of humanity's dead, given new life and purpose beyond the physical world. The Ghost Fleet had come to claim the galaxy's most powerful armada, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop them. The mighty Grand Armada fell apart like a broken puzzle as the Ghost Fleet swept through their ranks. Captain Jin Wuhan stood at the controls of the UES Phantom, but he was no longer truly standing. His consciousness existed in the space between reality and digital storage, processing thousands of pieces of information every second with the speed that only the dead could achieve. "Focus on the collective command ship first," he ordered his fellow ghosts through their shared mental network. "Cut off their hive mind communications, and the rest of their fleet will be blind." Lieutenant Yujin Ko received the order instantly. She had died 50 years ago in a mining accident on Europa when a tunnel collapsed and crushed her body. Now her mind controlled a phantom ship that could pass through solid matter like it was made of air. Her vessel dove straight through the hull of the massive alien dreadnought, merging inside the ship's central command center. Her consciousness reached out and touched the alien computer systems directly. She did not need keyboards or control panels. Her digital mind spoke to their machines in pure data, sending commands that shut down life support systems in careful patterns. The alien crew would be forced to evacuate, but none of them would die. "Emergency evacuation complete," she reported back to Ginwu. "All crew members safely transferred to escape pods. Ship captured with no casualties." All around the battlefield, similar scenes played out like a deadly dance. Commander Donghai Park, who had been killed in the first war with alien rebels from the Centauri system, showed off abilities that should have been impossible. Its ghost ship appeared in 3 different places at the same time, confusing the alien targeting computers so badly that they began firing at empty space. Sergeant Na-Young Kim had died in a black hole research accident when her exploration ship was pulled past the event horizon. Now she used her understanding of dimensional physics to phase her vessel in and out of normal space. An enemy ship disable their weapons and engines, then vanish before they could react. Admiral Jaxamer watched, his fleet being systematically destroyed from his command bridge. But destroyed was not the right word. His ships were being captured, their crews evacuated, their weapons disabled with surgical precision. The ghost fleet moved through his defenses like they were not even there. "Return fire," he ordered his weapons officers. "All ships, concentrate your fire on the lead Phantom vessel." Hundreds of plasma cannons and energy weapons fired at once, creating a light show that could be seen from several star systems away. The concentrated firepower was enough to crack a small moon in half. But the beams passed harmlessly through the ghost ships like they were shooting at shadows. "This cannot be possible," Jaximer said, his crystalline voice cracking with frustration. "How do you fight an enemy that chooses when to exist?" He opened a communication channel to the lead Phantom ship. "What did you do to our missing fleets?" he demanded. "Where are the 17 armadas that disappeared in your space?" Captain Jinwoo-han's image appeared on Jaximer bridge, but this was not a hologram projected from his ship. Somehow the human captain was actually standing there, solid and real, despite being a digital consciousness stored in quantum computers. Han looked like a middle-aged, human male with gentle eyes, but those eyes carried something that made Jaximer's crystalline form shiver. They held the memory of death and the wisdom that came from choosing to continue existing beyond physical life. "We studied them," Han said simply, his voice calm and patient. "Every ship, every weapon system, every tactical formation. Their crews are all safe on hidden stations scattered throughout human space. We learned their technology, analyzed their battle strategies, understood their weaknesses." "You kept them prisoner?" Jaximer asked. "We kept them safe," Han corrected. "We have been preparing for this moment since the day we first died and chose to continue serving humanity in digital form." "Preparing for what exactly?" Han smiled, and the expression was both kind and terrifying. "To become the protectors of this galaxy. Your civilizations have spent thousands of years conquering weaker species through superior weapons and larger fleets. We offer something different: protection through transcendence." Around them, the last of the Grand Armada's ships went dark as the Ghost Fleet completed their impossible victory. 5,000 of the most advanced warships in known space defeated by an enemy that existed partially outside reality itself. "You cannot kill us because we are already dead," Han explained. "You cannot capture us because we exist in digital form. You cannot defeat us because we have moved beyond the physical limitations that bind your species." Jaximer looked at his tactical display one final time. Every red dot representing his fleet had gone gray, indicating disabled vessels with evacuated crews. Not a single person had died in the entire battle, but his entire armada had been captured by ghosts. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Captain Han's image began to fade as he prepared to return to his Phantom ship. "Now, you learn that the age of conquest is ending. The Ghost Fleet will patrol the galaxy, and no species will ever again need to fear being destroyed by a stronger neighbor." The hunt was over, and the dead had won. The final weapons of the Grand Armada went silent as 5,000 warships drifted powerless in space. Captain Taemin Lee materialized on Admiral Jaximer's command bridge, his form solid and real despite existing as pure digital consciousness. Around him, Phantom ships surrounded the disabled fleet like protective spirits watching over sleeping children. "Your crews will be returned to you without harm," Taemin announced, his voice somehow reaching every communication system in the entire armada at once. "Your ships will receive upgrades using our technology as a gift of friendship. Old ways of conquering through bigger weapons and stronger fleets must end today." Admiral Jaximer's crystalline body flickered with colors that showed his deep confusion. His people had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years through military might. The idea of showing mercy to defeated enemies seemed impossible to understand. "Have the power to destroy us completely," Jaximer said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Your ghost ships could turn our entire fleet into space dust. Why are you letting us live?" Captain Taemin smiled, but the expression carried deep sadness. "Because we still remember what it felt like to be alive. Every person you see in this fleet chose to die for something more important than themselves. We will not disgrace their sacrifice by becoming the evil monsters you thought we would be." The bridge began filling with other ghost captains, their forms appearing like gentle lights in the darkness. Lieutenant SEO Joan Kim stepped forward first. She had died in a space station accident while trying to save trapped miners. Commander. Wonho Park materialized next to her. He had been killed defending Earth from a massive asteroid that threatened to destroy entire cities. Sergeant Minyang Lee appeared near the navigation console. She had died in the cold depths of space when her exploration ship lost life support while mapping unknown star systems. Each ghost captain carried the same expression of determined kindness.
Oh.
They had all chosen to continue existing in digital form so they could keep protecting others. We bring the galaxy a completely new way of thinking, Taman continued, gesturing to his fellow spirits. Instead of solving problems by fighting wars, we will end conflicts by talking and understanding. Instead of racing to conquer new worlds, we will focus on exploring the mysteries of the universe. Instead of ruling others through fear, we will protect everyone through strength. Suddenly, the air above the bridge shimmered, and the holographic forms of the Galactic Council appeared. The three alien leaders had been watching the entire battle from their distant meeting chambers. High Arbitrator Colvin spoke first, his collective voice carrying the thoughts of 10 million individual minds. How can we trust that humanity will not use this incredible power to conquer our civilizations? He demanded. You've defeated our greatest military force without losing a single ship. What stops you from becoming the new masters of the galaxy? Captain Tommen gestured toward the 1,000 phantom ships floating around them in perfect formation. Look at what we have already conquered, he said simply. We have defeated death itself. We have learned to exist beyond the physical world that limits every other species. What else could we possibly want? Power, Commander Vexlo suggested, his mandibles clicking with suspicion. Control over resources. The right to make other species obey your commands. We are already more powerful than any force in the galaxy, Lieutenant SEO Gen replied gently. We need no food or water or air to survive. We do not age or grow sick, cannot be killed because we have already died. Why would we want to rule over others when we have transcended every limitation that drives other species to war? As they spoke, something wonderful began happening to the disabled alien ships. Human technology flowed into their systems like healing light. Energy shields that could phase between different dimensions of reality were installed on every vessel. Weapons that could affect both physical matter and digital consciousness were added to their arsenals. Engines that could bend space and time itself replaced their old propulsion systems. Admiral Jaximer watched in amazement as his own flagship received upgrades beyond his wildest dreams. You are making us stronger than we were before, he said in disbelief. You are giving us technology that could threaten your own people. We are giving you the tools to protect yourselves and others, Commander Wonho explained. The age of conquest is ending. The age of exploration and protection is beginning. Counselor Namara's Ezergy form brightened with understanding. You mean to become guardians of the entire galaxy? We mean to ensure that no species ever again needs to fear being destroyed by stronger neighbors, Captain Taman confirmed. The Ghost Fleet will patrol the spaces between stars. We will be eternal protectors who cannot be corrupted by power because we chose this existence freely. We cannot be stopped by enemy weapons because we exist beyond physical death. As the last upgrades were completed and the alien crews returned to their improved ships, everyone understood that everything had changed. The Ghost Fleet would haunt the darkness between worlds, making sure that the galaxy's children could explore the universe in safety, Captain. Taman Lee and his immortal crew had become legends that would be told for 10,000 years. The age of the Ghost Fleet had begun, and the cosmos would never be the same.